Okay. All right. Good morning. As you can see, I had a little bit too much fun last night. I have a gigantic hangover, but we gotta get work done. And plus, I gotta go to another party today. It was a very interesting night last night, but I survived. That's the good thing. I survived, but yeah, there's a big, massive hangover that I'm going through right now. So let's just get right to the chase. Let's do this. I decided I had to do this first because I need to do more research on Siphius and the Phoenix for Battlers video. I have the knowledge. It's just been a bit since I actually like went over that. Like, you don't really go over mythology like that unless you have to use it in like a use case scenario. But I have knowledge of it. It's just been a bit. And obviously, I can't do big brain things right now because my head hurts. But where were we yesterday with this? Let's see. Let me just read this again. This is like the most appropriate song right now. The weed shop in Ocarina of Time. But I'm using this as a timer because I gotta work for like 30 minutes. Go work out, take care of my stuff that I need to take care of. Then later on, I'll do Battler. I'll do some Golden Sun on the side off stream. Then I gotta go party. Then come back and do more stuff. Yeah, I definitely did drink way too much last night, but it's all good. We had fun. It's 4th of July. Okay, let me read this again. Running alone isn't terrifying, but running while being hunted, knowing that something is relentlessly stalking you, unleashes a far more complex and insidious terror. This fear is biological. It becomes psychological and personal. When a predator pursues... Oh, we're talking about predators. Okay. So when a predator pursues, the fear evolves from raw instinct to a cycle of dread, uncertainty, and paranoia. It's reactive, irrational, and relentless. In horror games, this dynamic is carefully constructed through the design of enemies that just don't appear. That just don't appear. They hunt. Unlike predictable foes that can be fought and avoided through pattern recognition, predators in horror games are often unpredictable, intelligent, and sometimes omnipresent. They stalk the player through dark corridors, shadowed corners, and claustrophobic environments. Sometimes they roam freely, sometimes they spawn at unexpected locations. Audio cues, the distant footsteps, a growl in the darkness, environmental ambience cause anxiety and keep the player on edge long before the confrontation. What intensifies this fear is uncertainty, the mental closure of not knowing where the predator is, if it saw you, or if you manage to slip away. Okay, so sometimes they roam freely, sometimes they spawn in unexpected locations. Yeah, I don't like that transition right there. I'm gonna put something there later. Not now. Definitely not now. God, no, not now. But I'll put something there later. I just don't know yet because that transition's weird. Okay. For now, we'll just focus on this little section right there, and then we'll go. Drink water if you're gonna get piss drunk, which I definitely did not drink water last night. I guarantee you I did not drink water. I was probably just going in. What intensifies this fear is uncertainty, the mental torture of not knowing where the predator is, if it saw you, or if you managed to slip away unnoticed. This fuels. It's gonna make you become more vigilant in a sense. A paranoid vigilance, yeah. It fuels a paranoid vigilance. Where every shadow can hide death. Yeah, we'll be a little bit descriptive here. Shadow. I think that's good enough right there. We don't need to add more to that. Okay. Okay, let me just... Not the best song to use, because this song has very dark implications, because that potion shop was very super suspect. I'm not gonna deny it. Adult timeline was unhinged at times. But I'm using this as a timer. I'm gonna work for like 30 minutes, then I definitely gotta go work out and do other IRL things, because it's gonna be a busy day today. Hey, at least it's not the water temple. That temple gets a bad rap. It really does. It's not, even years later, I get annoyed because I always forget that one key, but it's not bad. Like, give me the Ocarina of Time any day, and if I'm at the water temple, I'll get that done in like 30 minutes. It's mostly just because the start, pause, and Iron Boots shenanigans, but it's a pretty straightforward temple. It's not hard. It's hard because if you don't know what the hell you're doing, but once you get the rhythm going, it's fine. When people figure out that, hey, the Spirit Temple is long as fuck too, but nah, it got good music though. All right. Shoutouts to Shadow Temple, a 15-minute temple. This uncertainty. This one. It is the core. Cool. This uncertainty isn't accidental because the devs are using it. Oh, okay. All right. I'm gonna do a funny real quick. So it's a core tool used by game devs. Yeah, used by game developers. I did not spell that right. Used by game developers to... They're simulating prey getting hunted in real life, in the wild. Yeah, this uncertainty isn't accidental. It is a core tool. It is the core tool used by game developers to simulate prey being hunted in the wild. Okay, so that's a good analogy right there. So in a sense, the player isn't merely running. They are being hunted. In Child Timeline, the witch actually had a tiger as a pet. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Again, Ocarina of Time is an experience. If you really look deep into it, like really look at stuff, like there are some weird shenanigans at play in Ocarina of Time. Like the great white at the bottom of the tank in the Lake Halea. I'm like, wait, what? Why is there a great white down here? All right. This fuels a paranoid vigilance where every shadow could hide death. This uncertainty isn't accidental. It is the core tool used by game developers to simulate prey being hunted in the wild. The player isn't merely running, they're being hunted. Okay. Which takes away agency. All right. Their sense of agency becomes eroded. Eroded as erodes under. When you're running away, like, this is just a question. When you're, goddamn. Hold on. Something caught in my mouth. When you're running away, for example, what do you feel when you run away? You feel oppressed. You feel oppressed under the weight of constant threat. Imagine Mr. X just chasing after you. Classic nemesis for a good example. You play Resident Evil 3 for the first time, and he's just chasing after you. Just camera changes. Oh crap, there's nemesis. Oh crap, I just gotta keep on running. Oh, he's still coming. Like, your sense of agency just erodes on the oppressive nature of the situation. Your sense of agency erodes under the oppressive. Oppressive is good to use. Oppressive of the threat. So as mentioned, after I'm done doing my stuff, I'll come back. I'm not gonna stream right away. I gotta just re-educate myself with some myths because of Battler's video, because I'm doing some myth tie-ins again. I like thinking outside the box when it comes to these lore videos. I try to be a little bit different from your average everyday lore video dude. So if there's something I can use, I'll try using it. So mythological tie-ins, horror movie analysis tie-ins, they're good to use. It keeps things fresh in my book. Okay. Their sense of agency erodes under the weight of the threat. So, using my personal experiences, I get mentally exhausted when I'm running away from like a stalker, because chase sequences, they're lengthy and things can just go wrong. I played a lot of White Day, and it's like, besides the janitor's AI just being like not the best at times, like once he's committed, like once his AI is not screwing around, like he will be on your ass forever. You just get mentally exhausted. And plus the constant threat of the lunch lady ghost, the head that's just flying around amongst other ghosts. So it's like it takes a mental toll on you. So it's a psychological response. I was waiting for the off top. I'm just waiting for the day I go to a vape shop. I don't vape. Apparently, besides alcohol in the military, vaping is just as bad. So if someone asks me to bring it to a vape shop, and if I hear this, I'm just gonna pop off. I guarantee you someday I'm gonna hear this in a vape shop. All right. Besides, let's get back to this. So that's a psychological response, because you can get mentally exhausted when you're running away from like a stalker or just in a chase sequence. So the psychological pressure, that's a good word to use here. Triggers. Heightened senses. Your senses go into like overdrive. And the biggest time I ever felt like high level mental exhaustion, besides classic Mr. X, was definitely in White Day, the second janitor, not the first one with the limp. The second janitor in White Day, the remake of White Day 1, he is so annoying. It's like he always shows up at the most inopportune moments, and once he's on you, like once he's like alerted, he is so hard to get like away from. Like, it's so bad. All right, so I'll use me as an example in this little section. So the psychological pressure triggers. Okay, we'll ignore that. The psychological pressure triggers heightened senses and mental exhaustion. I got 10 more days left before I have to go back to work. I'm gonna make the most of this. Players. How do I feel about this? Okay, so if I'm running away from a stalker, I feel compelled to look behind me every single time, which is kind of a bad thing. Which is funny because I'm using Orpheus as a tie-in for this, because for people that don't know, I'm gonna get to that section in a little bit, but I'll give like a little spoiler. So with Orpheus, he traveled to the underworld to try to get his beloved Eurydice back. He was a good musician, and his his skills actually made Hades like, wow, holy shit, this is actually really good. So believe it or not, Hades gave him the opportunity to get his beloved back, but the stipulation was, because there's always stipulations in mythology, is he would lead Eurydice back from the underworld, but he cannot look behind him or else she's gone. So in a sense, it's like us as players, whenever we're getting chased, we have the urge just to look behind us because we want to see if whatever is a threat to us is behind us. But in Orpheus's case, the silence from not hearing Eurydice talk was so unbearable for him. He thought, hey man, Hades probably tricked me. I'm not hearing my beloved speak to me. And he was tempted to turn around, and he ended up turning around, and she was there the entire time, and she just disappeared. So he lost her forever because he couldn't deal with the pressure. So in our case, it's like, yeah, we know that we're getting chased, but if we turn away, we could screw up. Like we're so focused on getting away, like we need to get away from the threat. But sometimes you're compelled to just look behind you. So players feel compelled to check behind them. That one time Hades was actually like telling the truth. It's like, wow, dude, you screwed up. But it's always y'all already know how this works. It's always like there's always a stipulation when it comes to like this. It's like a monkey's paw. Oh, you can get this, but there's always something in the background. You just never know. Scorpion, for example, in Mortal Kombat, it's like he became the champion of the Elder Gods on the notion that they would revive his clan. They did revive his clan as undead warriors. I'm like, wow, only the Elder Gods would do something like that. That's suspect. All right. So players feel compelled to check behind them. At least in my case, I do. To constantly scan their environment's good. If you're not doing that, it's like, well, why aren't you doing that? Yeah, I had to do that a lot in White Day because that's a gigantic school, so you had to be familiar with your environment. So to constantly scan the environment. I cannot spell right now. Environment. For Science and Pursuit. For Science and Pursuit. But like I mentioned, there's a drawback with this. If you're not paying attention to where like you're running, you run the risk of like making a wrong turn or like dying. All right. I think this was like prevalent in like haunting ground. I think, yeah, it was haunting ground. I was running from a stalker. I wasn't paying attention. I just think I ran into a chasm. Like, oh wow, okay. All right. It's indie horror games that really punish you for this. It was Misao, yeah, Misao. God, I was running away. I forgot what I was running away for. I opened up a door and there was nothing at the end of that door, and I just fell to my death and landed in a toilet. I'm like, bro, what? But yeah, indie horror games are notorious for punishing you for like the weirdest things. Support indie horror games. Okay. So where was I going with this? Players feel compelled to check behind them, to constantly scan their environments for signs of pursuit. But every glance back risks. Down. Every hesitation. I got like 10 more minutes left. It's already been 20 minutes. Holy shit. But again, like I said, I gotta go do IRL things. I gotta go work out. My workouts take like at least like an hour and a half. So I gotta go work out, do some IRL things, have lunch. I'll do Battler when I'm like done with everything. Then, well, no, I have to do more research on the Sisyphus and the Phoenix, because I have knowledge. I just want to make sure I'm 100% good to go before I write anything down. I'll do that, do a little Golden Sun, then I gotta go to a party. Then if I come back early enough, I'll do another stream later. Okay, let's continue. All right. I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to be doing... No, I decided I'm not going to do a horror movie tie-in just because of... There's always stuff happening in the background here. There's always stuff. I feel better doing it back at my barracks where there's literally just me in an empty room. Alright. Why did I put a period there? Every hesitation can be fatal. Fatal. This is feedback loop, actually. This can be seen as feedback loop. Yes, this actually is feedback loop. The results is feedback loop. So the more that's supposed to be a hyphen. The more hunted you feel, the more desperate your flight responses become. Oh, the past week I've been here, I'm surprised nothing crazy has showed up on Weeb TV in the background. Like, the only cringy thing was, like, I saw Shodas back then. I'm like, oh, okay, there's Shodas here. Let me switch the channel. Becomes. This result is feedback loop. The more hunted you feel, the more desperate your flight becomes. Which makes you more vulnerable. Becomes. More desperate your flight becomes. Okay. I can give an example of this. Give me a moment. Like I said before, the hardest part of writing narratives like this is the examples. Like, you don't want to just write stuff for the sake of writing stuff. Like, you need to make sure everything you're writing, there's a point to what you're writing. Like, you need to make sure, like, if you're gonna be bringing up a point or a take, you need to make sure you're fully supporting it. At least in my case, like, I make sure no stone is left uncovered. If I'm gonna mention something, I'm gonna go into a lot of detail about it. This is why, like, for example, the Vera video, it was definitely pushing more than an hour long, but I'm like, you know, I can condense this. Like, I don't need to like overwhelm people with knowledge with weird takes and facts, or not facts, but I didn't feel like becoming overbearing, because that's a lot of information that's I'm throwing out at people. Some people like more like in-depth stuff, like more things for them to actually learn, but some people don't. So you have to find a good like middle ground. Okay, the result is feedback loop. The more hunted you feel, the more desperate your flight becomes. The more exposed and vulnerable you are. Okay, so All right. I have like 5 minutes left. I can at least finish this little portion of it. I just gotta think. I think I got something. It's dynamic. It's dynamic. Oh, I can. All right, I think I got something. It's dynamic. Also, mirrors. Whoa. Trapped. Cycles here. Oh, okay, yeah. This dynamic mirrors this dynamic also mirrors real-life behavior. Animals and humans alike become trapped in cycles of fear that degrade mental clarity and increase risk. Okay, that's good. So I'll use myself as an example again. So the player experiences helplessness. Helplessness, yeah. The helplessness is firsthand. Their experiences helplessness firsthand. No space there. Firsthand. The line between I need to read this again. Okay, this dynamic also mirrors real-life behavior. Animals and humans alike become trapped in cycles of fear that degrade mental clarity and increase risk. The player experiences helplessness firsthand, blurring the line between virtual terror and authentic psychological stress. Oh shit! Fuck! Oh fuck! No, no! I'm already at the time limit. God damn! I gotta finish this damn angle. Fuck! Just give me a second. I can do it for like 5 minutes. I gotta. If I don't finish this, I'm gonna be cooked later. Fuck it, we're going toxic. The player experiences helplessness firsthand, blurring the line between virtual terror and authentic psychological stress. See, you don't introduce us. I can't stop it right here because I'm gonna cook myself later if I don't finish this right here. Hmm. Okay. I wonder. Dramatic level. I kind of shot myself in the foot with this one, but I can get this to work. Yeah, I can do this. This is gonna be... Yeah, we can do this. This is gonna be kind of weird. Yeah, this is why I had to finish this section. I couldn't just end it at the timer, but fuck, that's... I kind of shot myself in the foot here, but I can fix this. The player experiences helplessness firsthand, learning the line between virtual terror and authentic psychological stress. So, on a thematic level, the haunted motif taps into our, primal fears. Okay, oh yeah, this would be weird. Our ancestors being, I did not spell that right. Our ancestors being singled out. Being singled out. Isolated and powerless. Okay. Fuck. It is... It is an echo. It is echo of primal vulnerability. It's an echo of primal vulnerability. It's an echo that resonates. That resonates. Oh, yeah, this... I definitely have to really reread this over again. Yeah, okay. The player experiences helplessness firsthand, blurring the line between virtual terror and authentic psychological stress. On a thematic level, the hunted motif taps into our primal fears of predators stalking our ancestors, being singled out, isolated, and powerless. It is an echo of primal vulnerability that resonates in our collective conscious. I mean, yeah, this works. I just can't end it like that. Crap. I can't end the... Our collective unconsciousness, not conscious. God, unconsciousness. Wow, yeah. This is a tough one. It's too early for alcohol, but I think I got something. Just give me a moment. This is what I meant earlier. If you introduce an angle, you got to make sure you finish that. You don't leave it like half-assed. Okay. Okay, this I can do this. Invert. It inverts traditional. Narratives. And this is the first time this has happened. I can use I'll use a non-horror game example in a second. Just let me just focus on this. Instead of okay. Patrol. Okay. All right. I think we're good. All right. I think that's good. So let me read this out. As much as I said earlier, the water temple is not that bad of a temple. I got some high level PTSD from that. So let me take my headphones off, actually focus on reading this and see how this sounds. So running excuse me. Running alone isn't terrifying, but running while being hunted, knowing that something relentless is stalking you, unleashes a far more complex and insidious terror. This fear is no longer biological, it becomes psychological and personal. When a predator pursues, the fear evolves from raw instinct to a cycle of dread, uncertainty, and paranoia. It's reactive, irrational, and relentless. In horror games, this dynamic is carefully constructed through the design of enemies that just don't appear, they hunt. Like the predictable foes that can be fought and avoided through pattern recognition, predators in horror games are often unpredictable, intelligent, and sometimes omnipresent. They stalk the player through dark corridors, shadowed corners, and claustrophobic environments. Sometimes they run freely, sometimes they spawn in unexpected locations. Audio cues, the distant footsteps, growl in the darkness. Environmental ambience cause anxiety and keep the player on edge long before the confrontation. There we go. Sometimes they use audio cues, the distant footsteps, growl in the darkness, environmental ambience, causing anxiety and keeping the player on edge long before the confrontation. Always read your stuff. What intensifies this fear is uncertainty, the mental torture of not knowing where the predator is, if it saw you, or if you managed to slip away unnoticed. This fuels a paranoid vigilance where every shadow could hide death. This uncertainty isn't accidental, it is a core tool used by game developers to stimulate prey being hunted in the wild. The prey isn't merely running, they are being hunted. The sense of agency erodes under the oppressive weight of the threat. The psychological pressure triggers heightened senses and mental exhaustion. Players feel compelled to check behind them. Constantly scan their environment for signs of pursuit. But every glance back risks slowing them down. Every hesitation can be fatal. The result is a feedback loop. The more hunted you feel, the more desperate your flight becomes. The more exposed and vulnerable you are. This dynamic also mirrors real-life behavior. Animals and humans alike become trapped in cycles of fear that degrade mental clarity and increase risk. The player The player experiences helplessness firsthand, blurring the line between virtual terror and authentic psychological stress. On a thematic level, the hunted motif taps into our primal fears, a predator stalking our ancestors, being singled out, isolated, and powerless. It is an echo of primal vulnerability that resonates in our collective unconscious. That would be unconsciousness there. That would be yeah, we'll figure that out later. Resonates in our collective unconscious. Yeah. I'll dabble with that later. I might just swap that out. In our collective unconscious mind. It is an echo of primal vulnerability that resonates in our collective unconscious mind. By making the player prey, horror games invert traditional heroic narratives. Instead of the triumphant chase or victorious chase, the chase becomes a desperate losing battle. It's no longer about control, it's about survival, or more often, the illusion of it. Alright, I think we actually cooked over there, so good stuff. So, as mentioned, we did good, but we have to make sure whenever we introduce a weird take or an angle, we need to make sure we support that. We don't do things half-assed over here. So I went to a little bit of extra overtime. So as mentioned, unfortunately, I do got a lot of plans today. I got to go to a party later. I'll be back later after I do a little bit more research on Cepheus and the Phoenix, because I need to include that inside the Battler video that I'm doing. I'll do Golden Sun on the side because, again, we're still working on the audio. That's about halfway done. When I get back later from the party, I might have a little bit more time. So we'll come back, we'll do this, and we'll do Battler as well. So other than that, good shit. I'm still suffering through my hangover, so if I seem kind of out of it later, it's because the hangover's hitting me good. Drink responsibly. Besides that, take care. I'll see people later. Have a good one.